We are just about ready for the start of the 9th round of the championship. It's the Optima Batteries Mid-Ohio Grand Prix presented by Game Streamer. The 5-second board has been given. The lights are red, and it is time. We are racing. And again, Sofronis, a good start. Pilgrim, once again, an awesome start. And once again, Mike Skeen still lighting those tires up on that Corvette, smoking them, and loses a quick 3 spots, Tom.
You know, it takes a real knack to get the standing start correct, but Mike Skeen's got an advantage here. He's got all kinds of engine under the hood of that Cragar Wheels Corvette.
Going to plant it around the outside of the 57 of Lindsay. Now is when he comes in, but Lindsay drifts across in front. Nice move by Lindsay because that caused Skeen to have to lift up just a little bit. And this time the Morgans get away clean and quick. Sofronis, then the 2 Volvos. Hard astern, then comes the 57. And look at Crescentini down the inside of Skeen. Very aggressive move. They touch. And Skeen drops the tires off to the edge of the track, gathers it up. But Crescentini this time absolutely on a move early.
Well, Dino Crescentini, very aggressive. And of course, Mike Skeen wasn't ready for it. Gave him room to race. In fact, cost himself just a little bit by dropping his left side tires off. And of course, he loses the spot.
Well, you know, you're sitting on that front row. You have a bad start, and there's the 75 going around. Big spin by Brad Adams in that beautiful Sublime Green machine. Obviously, it's in the spot, no gravel. He just has to wait for traffic to pass, but he's now at the very back of the pack. At the other end, the very front, it's those 3 cars have broken away a little bit. Sofronis and the 2 Volvos.
Well, the Volvos have got momentum.
Oh, sorry, Tom, but it looked as though maybe a touch there, and Crescentini spears off into the barriers. That's the carousel. You don't see many offs in that spot.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect Dino Crescentini to go off there by himself, but already the telltale signs of those very vulnerable radiators affected very strongly. You see the water running out. You can't take much of a hit in a Porsche without affecting those radiators. Unfortunately, Dino Crescentini's day is done.
And there's some battling going on in the GTS division, and you can see the results from some of that battling, Tom. There's Kevin Helms, body work a-flying on that DBA and Carbotech Team Honda Works machine. Meanwhile, back to the overall lead, and those cars that had lost touch a little bit, talking, oh, and here comes Skeen. Boy, did he get a run. Lindsay sensed that coming, and Lindsay puts on the fake feint to say, well, I was actually going to try and get around the Volvo. That's his excuse to keep the officials from going, was that a block?
Yeah, that's not a block. That was making a move, not a block. It's a move.
For the 3rd spot in touring cars right now, and look at Whitmer protecting, and look at Eversley. Makes a little adjustment, and boy, did that work down to the inside. That was absolutely beautiful.
Ryan Eversley making a great showing in his first time here at World Challenge. I think we're going to see a lot more from this guy. Look what happens here in lap number 1, and there is the reason. We blamed it on Holland, but it wasn't Holland at all. It was another Honda that actually ran into the back. Now here's a look at Dino Crescentini. Did he get some help there, Greg, or not?
Boy, it looked like maybe just a little bit of a tank from Skeen. Skeen obviously rolling onto the throttle, trying to use that big V8, trying to get to the gas early, and Crescentini maybe not quite ready for it, and that was the result. Meanwhile, that battling up front in all the classes, as we've seen, is awesome. And in the overall order, Sofronis over Pilgrim and Popes for your top 3, Skeen in 4th. And here you see it, Daspalos hanging on to 8th. Welcome back, everybody, and we have our first caution of the race, and here's the reason. Charles Morgan buries it in the gravel. Meanwhile, we had some action as well. The 3-car battle for the lead in the touring car division. In 3rd place, Rob Holland and Ryan Eversley. Yeah, climbing the mountain right there.
You can see Rob Holland never lifted, and as such, he just climbed up the side of the car. Both continue, and that's a cool thing.
Green flag at the front of the queue. James Sofronis, look at that little feint right to the middle of the track, not wanting to give any opening to Andy Pilgrim, who is hungry. Comes in here with 4 straight mechanical DNFs and issues, and really wants to put one together and just finish one. And if he can podium, better still. And here comes that horsepower from Skeen. Look at this. 1, 2, and he's up along the outside, almost able to join Sofronis on the shoulder, then tucks in and picks up 2nd. Boy, I tell you what, Mike Skeen has figured out the exit of the keyhole. And look at this. You've got a Porsche and an Acura doing battle here for the lead in the GTS division.
First time Ernie Jakubowski has led a lap at World Challenge, and Peter Cunningham just studying him very closely here, trying to figure out a way to get around him. And it's something that Peter hasn't had to do. These drivers showing a lot of respect towards each other as we look at the gap over our top 5 here, and there's really nothing in between Mike Skeen and James Sofronis. Now along the outside, Peter Cunningham sees the opportunity. Little touch there, letting Ernie know that I'm here and I'm not going away. Great on-board shots from Racekeeper.
Absolutely, and you do that every once in a while. That's not a push you out of the way tap. That's a try and unsettle your nerves a little bit. Maybe then you'll unsettle the car by making a mistake like that, just floating a little wide. Just left that door open, and Petey Cunningham wasting no time. Dives underneath, that little momentum loss. Nick Kasayan trying to take advantage as well. And Ernie at that point says, no, one's enough of you guys at this point, and drifts back over and plugs that lane up. Meanwhile, take a look here. Charlie Solomon running wide and just gets into the grass, but does a nice job to keep it off of that big barrier over there, because that will hurt.
He did make a really good catch there, the DrNatasha.com car. New to the series, but he's having the time of his life.
And then this is just no holds barred, 4 abreast, multi-class racing. Who's going to end up where? We have no clue.
Well, and that's the excitement, especially down in the keyhole. There's a couple of thousand fans down here who see a different variety of cars every time these cars come down the straightaway.
And Whitmer badly caught out in traffic. And Jason Daskalos, I don't know if you saw the left front corner. He's got some bodywork damage, smoke streaming off of that Daskalos Developments Viper. So he's in trouble. So I would guess some of the problems in traffic. And there is Whitmer, who also has issues. And look at that left rear, Tom. He's got some serious toe issues on that car.
Yeah, something's gone wrong, and that would have been the involvement of some contact, but we didn't see exactly who he contacted with. And whoa, flat tracking now. Kuno Whitmer has a big problem, and unfortunately, that's going to end his day. There are no pit stops. There are no fuel stops. Here's a clue to what might have happened. Bam, with Rob Holland there, and he goes around, and that actually Holland goes off too. That contact cost him the race.
Oh, man, for Whitmer, tough deal. He's certainly one of the guys in the championship hunt at this point, and that's the downside of that multi-class racing, is every once in a while you have issues. And Brett Sandberg, speaking of issues, he has that car now off into the gravel, and it doesn't matter, front or rear drive. It's when it's stopped, it's going to stay stopped for the most part. More pits and pieces flying off the cars. Whitmer just trying to figure out, how can I get into pit lane with all of these cars around and clip somebody else on the move in. Watch it here.
Well, that's exactly Rob Holland. So a little bit of payback in between these two guys. I don't think they're in real love with each other right now.
At this point, just not quite able to get the job done. And you can see we've got yellows. There's 2 yellows in that worker's hand. So we have a full course caution clearly for Brett Sandberg being stuck in the gravel. So the field's going to get reined in a little bit. Here's a look at our current top 3 in the 3 classes, GT, GTS, and touring cars. And it looks like Ryan Eversley might be on his way in his debut with a double win. Some good stuff unfolding. We'll be right back. And as we are now back to green, they're getting another view of it. And look at this. Right now, we got intra and inter class battles all unfolding at the same time as Petey Cunningham, leading in GTS, goes by the touring car class leader of Eversley with Saney right in tow. And up front, here is Sofronis with Pilgrim, and Popst has found a way back around Pat Lindsay. So we're back to that Volvo 2-3 right now, then Lindsay, and then here comes Courtney in that Kenda Tires entry, and Tony Gaples having, as we said, he just always runs well here, but we've got problems on the track, and Eric Meyer, after another great drive, Tom, up through the pack, has looped it.
I don't know whether he's just lost power there, but he got a little help there from the Volkswagen, backs it up, and I don't know if he shut it off or he's just saying, I don't want to make a move here until everybody goes by. So he's going to have words from Michael Pettiford, who leaned on him pretty hard. Pettiford got some damage there as well. You can see a piece of wheel rim running around there on Pettiford's car. It's not going to take long for that to manifest itself into a bigger problem.
Meanwhile, watching there, you just see Tony Gable in that Kleinschmidt Black Dog Speed Shop Corvette taking a run at that Kenda Viper. There's Daskalos. Right behind him is Morgan. And Skeen is falling back through the pack, and reports are potential transmission issues. Let's see if we can hear where it happened.
You can see him working on that gearbox. It won't go down a gear for him, but he keeps working at it. Well, why not try pulling it back a little bit? Sequential gearbox is very, very durable, so this is very unfortunate for Skeen.
Meanwhile, watching Sofronis, who has never in this race had a moment's rest time.
You know, he's been busy up there working traffic, keeping the Volvos behind him, but he definitely learned something from yesterday's race, and that brilliant group over at Global Motorsports Group have given him the car that can win this race as they start the final lap.
And all he has to do right now is be perfect, because he's got a guy named Pilgrim and Popes that are right there. One bobble by Sofronis, and these guys will leap, and they understand it's last lap, believe me, with their experience. But as I said, Sofronis, this is his 118th start. He's done this many times. He knows what he has to do, but it's a matter of execution.
You know, he's using those lights a little bit there, just letting the traffic up ahead. I'm coming, and I'm going to go by, and I got to keep these Volvos behind me. And Gary Savage looks in his rearview mirror, acknowledges that, and he wants no part of this battle for the GT category, Greg.
No, he doesn't, and obviously he's going to try and get as far out of the way as he can, but you can't just hit the disappear button, and so Sofronis is going to have to track around the outside, and again, you always run the risk getting those tires in those marbles, and nice job there as finally Savage gets offline, is able to let them through as we hop on board with Randy Popes, who is putting together another podium run here. Oh, Fred Roberts, a huge off. That's in the area they call China Beach, and you can see why. It's huge, and it's nothing but sand and gravel, and he is buried. Meanwhile, Sofronis able to hang on into the carousel, but he's got traffic. It is Stout, and Stout is a bit wounded. Sofronis still not through. Now he comes up, and Pilgrim gets a run. Pilgrim takes a look down the inside. Not enough. That checkered flag, that start line comes up quick, and Sofronis hangs on for the win, but Pilgrim, you couldn't even see his headlights in Sofronis' mirrors. That was incredibly close. Here's what happened to Roberts.
Roberts trying to go down the inside of Bill Ziegler. When you early apex a corner, you run into room at the end. He gets it sideways and ends up in China Beach. His race is done.
Boy, Mr. Ziegler didn't give him a lot of room there, did he? Meanwhile, here comes Petey Cunningham, and he is going to bring it around for another win. This will be his record-extending 38th win in the history of World Challenge competition. Petey Cunningham, the master, to be sure. Another faultless drive. And Ryan Eversley, talk about impressive. Also his first ever appearance in World Challenge. Not only did he win the 8th round, the first of the doubleheaders, he's going to double it up. That is rare, to be sure. He swings over by the wall to give the salute to the crew. Well earned. That Maxwell Paper Products car was well set up.
And Jason Saney right in behind in his return to World Challenge. He's got a very, very fast little hot rod there.
Well, let's take a look at the lineup, and right there, folks, that margin of victory, 15/100ths of a second. That is a new record for all World Challenge races here at Mid-Ohio. Nothing's ever been closer than that, so pretty impressive. Petey Cunningham, 12th overall, wins again in the GTS division, and then you take a look at the rest of the field. Ryan Eversley gets the double at 22nd overall with Eversley over Saney, and then Don Gardner. So there you take a look at the rest of the field.